So allow me just a few minutes to read something about spikenard and why those disciples got so sideways with this waste, as they called it. Okay, spikenard, and thank you for those who helped me yesterday get the information. It's a flowering plant of the valerian family that grows in the Himalayas of China. It's also found growing in the northern region of India and Nepal. The plant grows to about 1 millimeter in height, has pink bell-shaped flowers. It's found in 1 meter? What did I say? 1 meter. You got to really look for it in height, and has pink bell-shaped flowers. It is found in the altitude of about 3,000 to 5,000 meters. Spikenard rhizome, R-H-I-Z-O-M-E-S. Rhizomes, underground stems, can be crushed and distilled into an intensely aromatic, amber-colored essential oil, which is very thick in consistency. Nard oil, which, well, by the way, spikenard in Hebrew is nard, and then they transliterated the word into Greek in nerd, or gave you a whole new perspective on the word nerd to me. Nard is used as a perfume and incense, a sedative, and an herbal medicine said to fight insomnia, birth difficulties, and Katie mentioned last night she's going to get some, and other minor ailments. Lavender was also known by the ancient Greeks as nardus, nard after the Syrian city Narda. The scent of, no, I won't read that. Historical use. The oil was known in ancient times and was part of an herbal tradition of India. It was obtained as a luxury in ancient Egypt, the Near East, in Rome. It was the main ingredient of the perfume nardinum, or nalidam, derived from the Hebrew shebolot nard, head of the nard bunch, which was part of the ketoret, which was used when referring to the consecrated incense described in the Hebrew Bible. It is also referred to as ha-ketoret, the incense. It was offered on a specialized incense altar in the time of the tabernacle, was located in the first and second Jerusalem temples. The ketoret was an important component of the temple service in Jerusalem. Nard is mentioned a number of times in the Tanakh as part of incense in reference to the Hilkot Shabbat, and it gives the references here. It is mentioned twice in the Song of Solomon, Solomon 1:12 and 4:13, and also it doesn't have the reference here, but also in 4:14. And if you want those references later, because spikenard is obviously a fragrance from a woman to a man of intense love. It's really a beautiful picture, and that's why it shows up in Song of Solomon the way it does. So there's the other part of why this should be a memorial to the women, because of the heart of those women in anointing the Messiah the way they did. Nard was used to perfume the body of several different dignitaries. It can also be used in foods and so forth. Now I have a reference here. In the New Covenant writings in John 12, 6 days before the Passover, Yahshua arrived in Bethany, and Bethany Mary, sister of Lazarus, uses a pound of pure nard to anoint his feet. Okay, now here's where it gets into the financial part of it. Are you ready for this? A pound of nard to anoint Yahshua's feet. Judas Iscariot, keeper of the money bag, asked why the ointment was not sold for 300 denarii, instead about a year's wages, as the average agricultural worker received 1 darius for 12 hours' work. Matthew. So that's how costly this fragrance was. And you know why the money guys just went, oh man, whoa. And Yahshua said, don't trouble her. She has done a good thing. So, and it also shows the magnificent love for the master that these two women had. That this stuff was really costly, but they loved him enough to where they wanted to break the alabaster box or put a pound of it on him. So praise Yahweh. Okay, brethren, let's conclude with going to Romans chapter 6. One thought that I'd like to leave you with, if you don't get anything out of this morning, is that the anointings are important because Joshua says they are, and it's done for his burial, and it's done for the purpose, and also that what these women have done needs to be brought out as a memorial for them, just on the basis of who says has to do it. It's Joshua himself who said, listen, wherever the good news goes forth, make sure that this is spoken of as a memorial for her, because she's done a good thing. Now, Romans chapter 6. What shall we say then? Shall we continue in sin that grace may abound? May that never be so. How shall we that are dead to sin, our life is over with, live any longer therein? Don't you know that as many of us as were baptized into Yahshua the Messiah were baptized into his death? So most of us in this room know that, but just in case you don't, when we're baptized, we identify with his death. And then look what it says in verse 4. Therefore, we are buried with him by baptism unto death. The burial is spoken of very explicitly, particularly by those of who we've been privileged to be taught by within the sacred name, brethren, is that we understand that when we're put under the water, we go into a grave of water, symbolic of Yahshua's burial. Therefore we are buried with him by baptism unto death. And like as the Messiah was raised from the dead by the majesty of the Father, even so we also should walk in newness of life. For if we have been planted together in a likeness of his death, we shall be also in the likeness of his resurrection, knowing this, that our old man is impaled with him, and that the body of sin might be destroyed. And henceforth we should not serve sin, for he that is dead is freed from sin. And right now I'm just looking at the burial as the process of going from one body to the other. And that when we're raised from that water, we do. Those of us who are obedient to the Master and have entered into his covenant do walk in newness of life. There's a new heart put in that desires the things of Yahweh, to walk after Messiah. So, in obedience to the Master today, I've had the privilege of sharing the anointing, actually the anointings of the woman and women who anointed the Messiah for his death, and how profound and significant is his burial is as important as the Master himself says it is, and no less. So Yahweh bless you, brother.